It's Subverted Tropes, a podcast about movies, featuring your hosts Daniel Spencer and Kate Harlow. Welcome to Subverted Tropes.
I'm Kate.
I'm Dan, and today we're going to be talking about Terror of Mechagodzilla.
Yes. So you might have guessed this is one of the many in a series of films about the Godzilla or Gojira monsters.
Indeed it is. And sorry for any awkward stuff at the beginning here, but there's currently a cat in my lap and it makes it hard to record.
She's producing. She's here to help us.
She is. She's making sure I don't get too off topic.
Mm-hmm.
So let's begin, shall we? It's 1954.
It's a good year.
It is a good year. Producer Tomoyuki Tanaka wanted to create a movie similar to The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and was inspired by the Daigo Fukuryo Maru incident, which was an incident in which several, and by several I mean 23 Japanese sailors, got radiation poisoning from a U.S. weapons test.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, not great.
Sorry, guys.
So Tanaka wrote the original script for The Giant Monster from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I feel like that's not the best title.
The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and 20,000 Leagues from Under the Sea were kind of very similar titles.
A little bit.
So it got changed a little bit to Godzilla.
A natural leap.
Yes. He successfully pitched the concept to executive producer Iwao Mori, and throughout its production, the movie became the wildly successful Godzilla that we all know and love, spawning a franchise that in its initial run, before the reboot in 1985, saw 15 different films and lasted 21 years.
Wowie.
Toho is the Japanese production company, and it was at the helm of these kaiju movies. Kaiju, of course, being large creatures attacking cities.
Yes.
It's kind of an entire genre.
Yes.
So here's the list of those franchise movies. Godzilla. Godzilla Raids Again. King Kong vs. Godzilla. Mothra vs. Godzilla. Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, which was released the same year as Mothra. Invasion of Astro Monster. Ebirah Horror of the Deep. Son of Godzilla. Destroy All Monsters.
Godzilla goes to summer camp.
Godzilla goes to jail.
Godzilla visits the library.
Diary of a Mad Godzilla Woman. All Monsters Attack. Godzilla vs. Ghidorah.
All monsters go to heaven.
Godzilla vs. Gigan. Godzilla vs. Megalon.
Are you there, Godzilla? It's me, Margaret.
Godzilla vs. Sharknado. Godzilla vs. Mermantula.
Is that a real one?
No, it's
Damn
not.
It.
That is from the Sharktopus series. Sharktopus versus Mermantula.
Dang it. Okay.
Godzilla vs. Megalon, I think I mentioned. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. And then the 15th film in the franchise, the final film in the franchise before the reboot 10 years later, Terror of Mechagodzilla.
Right.
And that's the one we watched this evening.
Yes.
So one of my favorite things about this is in 1974, Toho Production Company ran a contest. Mm-hmm. And that contest was to see who could write the next script for the next movie.
Oh, no.
And it was particularly who could write a sequel to Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla.
And that's how we got Steven fights the Godzilla monster.
Mary Sue fights the Godzilla monster.
Which is basically what Terror of the Mechagodzilla is.
Pretty much. They launched this contest 4 months after the release of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Mm-hmm. Several writers, of course, submitted, but the winner was Yukiko Takayama, a student in screenwriting school.
Okay.
Yukiko Takayama is the first and still is the only woman to pen a Godzilla script.
Yeah.
Damn right.
Awesome.
So, Terror of Mechagodzilla is the last movie in the original franchise run, and the last one directed by Ishiro Honda, who directed 8 of the 15 films.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the last movie that depicts Godzilla as a hero until 2004's Godzilla: The Final Wars.
Okay.
Because, of course, everybody knows Godzilla is he's a good guy, deep down.
Mm-hmm.
Except that he destroys a lot of things.
Yeah, but you know what? So does Superman.
I mean, that's very true. Superman and Godzilla are effectively the same.
Yeah.
I would like to see a Superman versus Godzilla movie.
But then Godzilla looks Superman in the face and says, Martha, and it's all over.
Your mother's name is Martha? It sounded more like a cat than Godzilla's.
I mean, honestly, Godzilla kind of sounds very cat-like.
This is very true. So anyway, Titanosaurus is featured in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
He was introduced in this movie. This was the first movie that Titanosaurus showed up in.
Mm-hmm.
He's the last of the monsters to be introduced in the original series.
Right.
And he's never been seen again. The idea was that Toho was trying to return to the original look of the monsters, the normal kind of realistic monsters, as compared to
Super realistic. For real.
the crazy stuff they'd been getting with Mechagodzilla. And these kind of, in the 50s and 60s, they had more normal monsters. And then in the 70s, they got a little more out there.
Yeah.
So they wanted to return to that normal look, but that didn't really go well because audiences did not like Titanosaurus. Titanosaurus was originally supposed to be 2 separate monsters who then combined to be one big one, like Station in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Amazing.
I think everybody knows and loves Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, right?
So much so that I feel they should just leave it. They should just leave it. Keanu, I'm looking at you.
Don't make Bill and Ted 3. Keanu, if you're listening, I'm actually kind of interested in it, but I don't know if I can keep an open mind in front of Kate. I'm kidding. I know, of course I can. But also, can you please make it good? Thank you.
We both know he can't make it good.
No,
That's not a thing.
it is not. So this movie was called several different names. The titles for the movie: Terror of Mechagodzilla, Counterattack of Mechagodzilla, The Terror of Godzilla, and Monsters from an Unknown Planet. Because let's talk about how convoluted this plot is.
Yeah, it's real messy.
So a submarine goes down to try and pick up the remains of Mechagodzilla, and in doing so finds a new monster, Titanosaurus.
Mm-hmm.
Titanosaurus has been trained by a human scientist who hates humanity,
Mm-hmm.
to attack cities and specifically attack Godzilla. And there's an alien race who's landed and is trying to destroy humanity as well and is working with that guy. And they've rebuilt Mechagodzilla.
But also there's the alien race. The alien dudes have like somebody's daughter, but she died, so she's a cyborg. And they put the controller for Mechagodzilla in her, so she's like a remote control.
Right, and the daughter is the daughter of the scientist who hates humanity.
It's super weird.
It's messed up. It's too much. And when I'm saying something is too much, you know it's too much. But that explains at least why it's called Monsters from Unknown. So the German and Italian releases of this movie were worried that they weren't going to be able to get enough audiences because Mechagodzilla was played out from the movie released not that long beforehand, and nobody knew who Titanosaurus was. So they changed the titles of the movies.
Okay.
In German, it was called Konga Godzilla King Kong, The Brood of the Devil.
But there's not even any King Kong in it.
No, there is not.
Okay.
They made Konga be the name of Titanosaurus and King Kong be the name of Mechagodzilla.
No No.
In the title only. In the movie, they didn't change
any
the
of the
names
names?
at all.
Of course.
And in Italy, they called it Destroy Kong. The Earth is in peril.
That's not,
And they actually used King Kong in the posters for the movie. Even though he's nowhere in the movie. They didn't add anything. They never changed it around to have him referenced at all in either film. No version of it actually worked in King Kong. It was just in the titles.
that's great. That's great. Good work, everybody.
Okay, so we're going to go watch this movie, and we'll be right back. And we're back.
A big shock. It's still as convoluted as I remembered.
Yeah, and...
It doesn't get any clearer upon rewatching.
It really doesn't, and it's not good.
No.
It's fun.
It's fun, but it's fun in like a, man, why kind of way.
Yeah. So you may have noticed at some point that Titanosaurus moved kind of weirdly and creepily.
Yes.
That was done intentionally by the actor by wearing the suit backwards in several scenes.
How?
He would put it on with his head facing the opposite direction, know the general idea, and just kind of flail his arms and legs backwards because he thought that looked unsettling.
Truthfully, that's kind of how they look most of the time anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't super noticeable.
It's not super effective.
He was just weird looking.
Yeah.
And you might notice when Godzilla goes back into the sea at the end of the movie that he looked very different from the Godzilla we saw for the rest of the movie.
Yes.
It's because they used a special promotional suit, the suit that they specifically used for, promotional events where they'd go out somewhere and Godzilla would be there. They used that suit specifically for that scene because it was fine to be damaged. They didn't want to damage the very nice suit that they already had.
Yeah, I was going to say, comparatively, the Godzilla that we saw and got to appreciate looked better than many others in other films. He didn't look quite as, I don't want to say Muppety, because being a Muppet is not a bad thing, but when you're supposed to be a Godzilla,
Muppety's maybe not the best.
Muppety is not your goal.
No. So, the English version of the movie, the version we watched, actually had...
Yeah, we watched it with the dubbing.
Yes.
Which is an experience.
It was also the cut released for America. Because it had several scenes removed from it.
Oh.
They didn't want to show too much violence against humans.
Okay. In America?
In America.
How is that?
I don't know. But they took out also a scene of nudity. There was going to be a scene...
In America?
Where they were operating on Katsuya, the cyborg girl.
Right.
But they took that out because nipples.
Oh, yeah, no. American women don't have those.
And there were several scenes of people dying, either aliens killing humans or monsters killing humans. And they were like, no, we don't want to do that. So they took those scenes out.
If only they could have looked into the future and seen what a shit show America has become.
Right. So let's talk about some of the tropes in this movie.
Yes.
I mean, again, nuclear hubris.
Yep. Yes.
We've caused the...
We've created a monster.
Yeah.
And now it has come back to destroy our cities.
I don't care if you're a robot, I'm in love with you.
The aliens are here and they are planning on destroying us. The scientists are here and they're planning on destroying us.
The heroic sacrifice of Katsuya as she kills herself to destroy Mechagodzilla.
I guess part of it is that like a lot of the tropes are kind of lost in the muddied plot.
True, and also a lot of these tropes really became tropes with this whole series, and like the point of the series was that it was the same tropes over and over again.
Yes.
But, I mean, all in all, it's a great, well, not great movie. It's a great watch. It's a fun watch.
I don't think it's something that you're going to have like an excessive amount of fun if you sit down to do by yourself.
Right.
It's a group activity.
It definitely is.
And I think the scale of fun, I think it increases like if you choose to do more than one at a time.
Agreed.
Like in making an evening of it and being part of the October marathon, we had a friend over watching it with us, and he was saying, you know, he hasn't seen many of these in a while, and we haven't seen many of these in general, and we were making plans to take a day and just watch a bunch of them together because it's just going to be fun.
It's just going to be a blast, except for Son of Godzilla, which is also known as Godzilla's Revenge, which involves Manila, the imaginary son of Godzilla, as imagined by this kid.
No.
And he imagines himself on Monster Island, where all of these monsters are from and live happily. And there's just a crap ton of monsters. It's just so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah, I feel it. Let's skip that.
Or we could watch it and drink every time something stupid happens.
I don't want anybody to get alcohol
That
poisoning.
is exactly what would happen if we were to do that. Drink responsibly, folks.
Yeah, guys, we're not going to do that. Don't do that.
Any last words about this movie?
I mean, I guess it just comes down to one of those, like, as we discussed before, it comes back to it's what you want to make of it. If you're looking to be cynical about it, then you're not going to have a good time. If you're looking to have fun with it, then have fun with it, and you're going to have a great time.
Precisely. So, all right, well, that's going to do it for this episode. As always, you can find us on iTunes, Podbean, and Stitcher. You can follow us on Twitter at Subverted Tropes.
You can send us a line at subvertedtropecast@gmail.com. Follow our hijinks on our blog at subvertedtropecast.wordpress.com. And as always, a big thank you to our dear friend Grace Bolland for our beautiful logo. You can follow her on Instagram at A Fandom Doodler, and you can look into some of her artwork on Etsy at That Crazy Princess.
All right, that sounds good. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We always appreciate it.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your friends.
All that good stuff. We'll see you next time.